Hello everybody, this is chapter 20. It is back to Alva talking, so Alva's point of view, chapter 20. The last friend I ever had was Jack McGonagall. It was Jack who changed everything. You probably do not remember 1934. Neither do I, by the way. I liked it. We had no refrigerator or telephone, but nor did most people. Televisions and computers had hardly even been invented, and it would be another 60 or more years before everyone used email and the internet, and everybody knew everything about everyone else, which was not entirely a good thing if you were trying to hide a secret. By then, Mam and I had been living in Oak House for nearly 80 years. Mam had bought it in 1856 for £300 cash. You could do that then. It was all legal, and Mam and I had enough money. It was certainly remote and perfect for us. There were no housing estates nearby then. We grew stuff on a little patch of ground that had been cleared when the cottage was built. We had a goat called Amy and some chickens. We did not give names to the chickens because we sometimes ate them. Biffa loved it. The house had been empty for a while when we moved in, and there were a lot of mice. Biffa caught them all within a few weeks. We read a lot, and once it had been invented, we listened to the radio, which we called the wireless. Once or twice a week, Mam would cycle into Whitley Bay on our rickety old bicycle, and sometimes I would go instead to fetch groceries. I made sure I went outside of school hours so that no one would think I was playing the wag. There was a grocery shop in Eastbourne Gardens run by a couple, Mr. and Mrs. McGonagall. He was tall and thin, with huge red ears and sharp eyes, and she was short and dumpy. They had a boy my age called Jack who helped behind the counter. Jack and I eventually got to the point where we would say hello, and he once helped me put the chain back on my bike. I let him have a ride on it to pay him back, and he said, "Where do you live?" "Hexham," I lied. I knew the routine. "I'm just visiting my aunt." That was the story that worked. If anyone asked, which they seldom did because we did not talk to many people, Hexham is a town about 40 miles away, near enough not to be unusual, but far enough not to be familiar. "Where do you go to school then?" asked Jack. This was on a school day afternoon at about 4 p.m. "In Hexham," I said, "only our schools are closed this week. It's a local holiday." "Caw," said Jack, "jammy." And that was it. No further questions. I liked Jack. I gave him a backer on my bike down to the links, and we threw stones at a tin can. He could walk on his hands, and when he tried to teach me, we laughed and laughed. It was fun. It was quite a long time since I'd had a friend, and Jack seemed a bit lonely too. So when it began to get dark and I would have to cycle home with no lights and risk being stopped by a policeman who would take me home and ask awkward questions, I said to Jack, "I'm coming back here on Saturday, shall we meet?" And so we did. There was a brass band playing on the bandstand, and we ate chips, which I bought, looking at the big white dome of the Spanish City Pleasure Gardens, and Jack told me about his dad, who had once shot a moose in Canada. And why am I telling you this? Because you have to understand how hurt I was when my new friend Jack, funny, skinny Jack with his knobbly knees and his baggy shorts, betrayed me, although it was not even his fault. Well, not entirely. First line is, "You see, Jack grew older and I did not." That's an interesting thought. Poor Alva. Let's we'll find out about what happened to him tomorrow. Bye bye.